Hey guys, it's been a while. I have not posted a video in months now. I've been dealing with a pretty severe burnout at the beginning of this year. The 2 first months were awful. I'm doing better, but I'm still very fragile. Yesterday I actually cried, so that was fun. I felt like talking to you today. I'm supposed to rest today, so we are April 18. But I also just felt like talking to you because it's been on my mind for a while now to record this video and to kind of explain my absence, even though I'm pretty sure most of you haven't noticed because it's long, but it's not that long. Last time I posted was in December, and YouTube is full of creators, so I'm not sure you even noticed that I wasn't there. I wanted to talk a bit to you about what happened. I think many artists experience burnout or depression or something similar at least once in their life. And every time something like this happens, I want to talk about it, but then I'm not feeling so good, so I don't. And then when I'm better, I don't see the point anymore. So part of why I'm doing this channel is to share this kind of emotions, if that makes sense. I'm also, I sound sick. I had a pretty severe cold this week or last week. I'm actually much better, but I still sound a bit sick. So yeah, that's that. So last year I worked a coloring book. It's this one. I think it's doing relatively good. I honestly don't know. I had a few pieces with me. I sold them all, but I didn't get a lot of them. So I worked with a professional editor in Germany. So they contacted me and they asked if I wanted to do a book. So either a tutorial or a coloring book. And I've been wanting to do a coloring book at that time for a while. So I decided to go on a coloring book. And so this is the result. It's partly in German because there's a bit of a tutorial part at the start. I really need to do a flip through, but I haven't yet. So this book came out in November of last year, so it's very fresh, it's very new. This book has been the death of me because obviously I had to go full in because that's usually how I do it. So basically this book is full of only original art and that I specifically made for this book. It has almost 100 pages. It's hardcover. It was a lot of work. I basically worked on it daily, including weekends, for 6 months. You might remember, but last year I also got neuralgia, so that's nerve pain in my dominant arm, and that was because of working on this book. And I had to force rest for a month. That was difficult as well. So this book, basically, you have double pages, which are kind of full artworks, and then you have other pages where you have one full artwork on the right side, and then natural history details, more scientific illustration on the left, and usually what's on the left is hidden on the right. So it's a really fun book. It's very me in the sense that there's a lot of scientific illustration. It's very detailed. It's only proper artworks. So I didn't want to pretend and make images for coloring book. I just wanted to do my work, but just line art as a coloring book. So it's almost an art book. Coloring book, if that makes sense. So I know it's not necessarily something that is going to appeal to everybody because there's depiction of trash and things like that. It's a bit post-apocalyptic like my work is. So it's maybe a bit more niche, but at the same time I thought I'm not going to do just another coloring book like everyone else is doing, because you have a lot of nature-inspired coloring books, but they're kind of all the same, if that makes sense. You know, it's pretty, but it's not very personal. So I really wanted this coloring book to reflect my work, which I think I managed. I think it's a good result. It's not perfect, but that's probably the perfectionist in me that's talking. I was really exhausted after that book. To tell you everything, I sometimes get cold sores. When I'm very stressed, when I used to study architecture, I would get one cold sore every summer, every time I would go on holiday, because then, you know, everything goes down and then you're kind of tired and you need to rest. And I would always get one cold sore every summer when I was studying still. And later on, I don't know, I got my life together, so it was fine. And then I would occasionally get one cold sore if I had a lot of work, or if life was especially stressful, or deadlines or whatnot. So it happened a few times, but not every year. But last year, I didn't get one cold sore. I had 4 on the upper lip. It was monstrous. It did hurt a lot, because a cold sore is not like super painful, but it's not nice. But 4, it was harsh. So I had that, and stupidly, once I finished the coloring book, and that was around July, August, just before I went on holidays with my boyfriend in the mountains. And after that, I should have taken a month off, to be honest, just because it was so intense, the work. But I did not, because your girl can be a bit stupid sometimes. And in hindsight, that was the biggest mistake I've made last year, to not take a month of rest. Because at that time, I was also starting the local residency that I talked about in a previous video. So I'm not there right now. I still have the studio, but so I started right away. In September, I moved some of my stuff there, actually quite a lot, but I moved sculptures back here but maybe I'll get back onto that. And so I went right in and I worked as per usual. I did a lot of painting and I was quite inspired. I think my brain was kind of keeping me in tension, because I was really inspired by the place. I wanted to paint, I wanted to go full in. And I probably was tired already, but I just kind of ignore it. And after that, I had planned a 1-month trip with a friend to South Korea and Japan, which I didn't talk about. And just before that trip, my cat Raja, which you all know very well, the black and white cat, he died. And yes, so Raja died. I haven't talked about it on this channel because, I mean, it was really difficult. I haven't had the courage for now to paint or sculpt him, which I feel really guilty about, which is kind of ridiculous. But yeah, moving on. I cannot talk about it apparently, so I'm just going to move on and talk about something else. So after my Raja, my little cat, died, I went on holiday with my friend. You would think that holidays are fun, but I'm a bit of an introvert, and traveling with a friend was exhausting. It was actually really difficult for me most of the time. The best days I had on holidays was when we would split our ways and I would have a day by myself. And those were the days where I had the most fun. I'm still friends with that person, so it has nothing to do with her. It was just too much, I think, to have to be with someone all the time. And we would share a room as well, so it was like really all the time. So that was kind of tough. So back from that holiday, I actually had a Christmas market, so I did that. And in December, I cried a total of 3 times, but 3 times non-stop. And it was the 3rd time when I was at my mom's place in Berlin. I usually go to my parents in Berlin around Christmas because my mom's birthday is on the 24th of December for one. And I don't know, I usually go to Christmas to my parents. And that Christmas I broke down and cried after a boyfriend told me something. But it was nothing, really. It was nothing what he told me. And I think usually I would have shrugged it off or laughed at him or, be a bit snappy about that remark. But no, I cried. And I cried for like half an hour or so. Because it had nothing to do with what he said. He could have said something nice and I might have cried as well. So, but it was at that moment that I realized, I think I'm depressed or burnt out or whatnot. I never really know if it's burnout or depression. I have a depressive tendency. I know that. I've learned to deal with my brain, and I've been doing mostly okay. I used to be depressed, but for maybe 2 weeks. So I'm going down a pit. It's very dark, and I have very dark thoughts, very bad ones. But usually it's just 2 weeks and then I'm fine. So I know I'm always going to be okay, and I know that's how my brain tends to function. So I was like, so far it's been okay. But this time, I think I pushed myself for too long and too hard. So when I realized that at my mom's place, which understood me because that depressive, slightly, I don't like to say bipolar because I have never been diagnosed and I'm not sure that this is it, but I tend to be a bit like, when I get creative, I'm on a high and then I get these very stark lows, but it's never been too incapacitating, and it's also I've never put myself in danger in the high, so I never do something too crazy, and I also never did something too dangerous in the lows. So again, I don't like to use that term, but it's just to kind of explain how my brain works. And I think that's something that, from what I've seen, it's something many creatives and artists have. I'm actually convinced that most artists have something slightly off with their brains, and that's why we sort of have that creativity and that spurt of creation and those emotions that run high and low. It's just because we're kind of off, if that makes sense. After realizing I was doing so badly, I was like, okay, you just need to rest. And so January, I mostly did nothing, and I was doing so badly emotionally that I wanted to do absolutely nothing. So even playing video games, I kind of forced myself to it. I like to play video games. I wouldn't call myself a gamer, but I do like video games. And I sort of just forced myself to play because I knew I had to rest, but it was not fun. I also forced myself to kind of doodle in my sketchbook because I knew that was good for me, but it was not fun. And after a month of sort of forced resting like this, I started to get better. February, I finally started to enjoy playing video games again, so that was good. Great improvement. I still had like deadlines and things to finish, so I did finish a few sculptures that I had to ship, so that was a thing. And I have a solo show later this year. This is where you see all these sculptures here in front. I'm working on a solo show, so I have things that I have to do. So, but I just kept like on the, okay, this is essential and the rest is not. So YouTube, obviously, not a priority at that moment. Many things that I just, threw out of the window, focused on the things I had deadlines on and trying to get better. And I'm still at that stage. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I think probably a good year. I feel I'm very fragile, and yesterday I broke again because I was trying to figure out this sculpture. So it's plastic trash, as per usual, and with crystals, and I wanted to make a base. Well, it didn't work out. And yes, I was really tired. I'm not sure why. Maybe because I worked a lot over the last weeks, and because I was sick, and I did something yesterday that I should not have done. I was tired, but I still forced myself to work. And these days, I can't do that. I cannot force myself. So I have to be really careful about that. And there was an art opening at the local residency I'm at. On a side note, people there are so supportive. They saw me cry a few times and they were very understanding. And it's hard to explain how important that is. If you're a bit like me, many people are like me, like very emotional and then get depressed very violently and, fall down a pit and you're down the pit and you don't have the courage, but you also don't really want to get up again. Because that's kind of how depression feels. It's like you're not okay, but you don't really want to get better, because you just need to rest. And I think that's kind of the hard part to explain to someone who never felt it, because you're not doing good, but you don't want to get better. You just want, everything kind of needs to stop. And you're just exhausted. When I talk about these things with the people from the local residency, because there are many artists there, they understand it. And I feel like when you have people in your life that are understanding of what you're going through, it kind of validates your feelings. So if you're feeling like me right now, or sometimes, I hope not right now, but sometimes, know that it's okay and it will pass. I think that's the most important. It always passes, those feelings, and from experience, the best thing you can do is to just embrace the sadness and those emotions. Yeah, it's going to be fine. It always gets better. It takes time sometimes. And I'm talking maybe to myself, because I'm very hard on myself most of the time, I know it. I'm very disciplined and I'm really good at forcing myself to work, and I'm glad I am, because if I wasn't so harsh on myself, I would not be where I am right now. I think as an artist, if you want to succeed, it's not just luck, it's a lot of hard work and discipline. You have to have very specific goals, and you have to be able to get the work done, get better, and always be proactive, always criticize your work. But it's exhausting, and it doesn't get easier. You would think I've been doing this for 15 years now, I think. I'm turning 40 next year, so it's been a while. But it doesn't get easier, because I feel like sometimes you have to do so many things to just kind of get your work out there. You have to do the work, which is already, it's not easy, but that's the fun part at least, but it's still not easy. It's a lot of struggle doing art. It's a lot of fighting with your pieces until they work. It's not, it's not just doodling. And then there's all the marketing aspect. You talk about your work, you have to promote it, and then you have to ship it. You don't have collectors at the beginning, so you work with galleries. I don't know, it's exhausting. And you would think that with time it gets a bit easier, but it doesn't. The world we live in is it's exhausting. Social media is going to be the death of all of us, I guess. So yeah, that doesn't really help. This is where I'm at right now. And on kind of a more positive note, I'm doing great, as you see. If you feel like me, and if you feel stuck, it's going to pass. If you like to do art, get some cheap ass paper. For me, the key was to find some watercolor paper, but that was just cellulose and pretty cheap. I have a block of 75 pages. It was dirt cheap. I paid 25 euros. I mean, it's cheap for me. Get some paper that is not expensive, not too crappy, or crappy if it's better for you. And just, have fun, doodle. Draw everything in black if you want to do something really ugly or really pretty, it doesn't matter. Try to have that. I think that really helped me. And then remember what you enjoy doing. Maybe you enjoy going out for walks, maybe you enjoy reading, maybe you enjoy playing video games or cooking, baking, whatever. Try to remember when you're at your deepest what you actually enjoy doing. And if you feel stuck, just kind of force yourself on doing these things, because you will remember that you enjoy them, if that makes sense. Yes, so that's pretty much it. I don't know when my next video is going to come out. I should probably promote my own book. So you can find it on Amazon, sadly. If you're outside of Europe, there's no other options. I'm going to have links in the description box below. People seem to really enjoy it. That's all I can say. It's always difficult to market your own product. As I said, I put a lot of work into it. I'm pretty proud of it. Apparently it's very inspiring, so... yeah, thank you so much for watching and listening to me talking and crying. I don't know who's going to watch this, but if you made it until the end of this video, leave a heart emoji, because I feel like I really need a heart emoji these days. Thanks, and see you next time, probably in a better mood. Bye.